Yo, what is going on? My name is Sweet Phil, and today right here I'm bringing you a Maul Bear Druid. Not generally a character that was ever played before. It did get a bunch of boosts here in the new 2.4 PTR for the ladder coming up. So we're going to take a look at it right here, and I'm going to kind of showcase the build with pretty darn budget gear. There is one piece of armor on, one piece of gear here that takes a high rune, but really you could swap it out. It wouldn't be crazy. So make sure you hit that like button and subscribe up if you like these types of videos. Let's take a look at the stat points first. I put just enough strength and dex to wear my gear. The strength is pretty high. If you had a weapon that had a lower strength requirement on it or a lower dex requirement, you may want to put some points into these to get them up a little higher, because strength will obviously add to damage. Dexterity will increase your attack rating over here and increase the odds that you are going to hit. Obviously, when you swap to bear form, you're going to have higher attack rating, so don't worry about this average chance to hit right there at the moment. But then I put a vast majority, and for my case, the remainder points into vitality down here to get the life up. You end up with a little, right around 3,600 life on that. And look at how bad these resistances are because of how crazy the budget gear is, and because of how PTR is bugged to where you don't get the resistances from the Anya quest, so they end up even lower from that. So let's go ahead and hop over to the skill tree right here. And on the skill tree here, summoning we'll start off looking at here. So I went down to max out Wolverine, part of the Wolverine, because it has attack rating and damage. That's another reason you don't need to worry about how that said only 33% chance to hit Venom Lord earlier. You get attack rating and damage from this particular spear right here. And then I went straight down the middle till I got to Grizzly. That's actually the one you use Grizzly, and because of the way the Druid is now, you can actually summon up all of these different animals right here. So really I just spam straight up the wolf and the bear. The ravens kind of don't last long enough. They don't have enough health, and they don't really do as much, so I don't really worry about the ravens, to be perfectly honest. But I go ahead and bring up these three, max these out. Now I actually put more points into dire wolf, even though bear is kind of the one that's your meat shield, because you actually get 15% life for each point into direwolf. So that's why I got 17 up here. That was kind of the remaining points I had left over. Elemental tree, I just went ahead and skipped it. Didn't really worry about that. Over here on the shape shifting, we went ahead and put 1 point into werewolf, you know, just to get over to lycanthropy. You max that out. You max out werebear, obviously, because you're a bear druid here. And you got Maul. That's your main attack skill. Now Maul is actually a skill kind of like Frenzy. You see down at the bottom here, right here, I have it on the right click. You can just hold it down and run around, and your bear will just attack whatever monster is closer. I'll show you a little bit better during the gameplay coming up here. Go ahead and take a look at the gear now. And this is budget, remember. I just grabbed and used whatever I could get my hands on here in the PTR that they kind of provide for you. So here we got a bone hue, crazy budget. You could probably get someone, tons of people will just give these to you, I'm sure. So it's nothing crazy, but it has a good amount of enhanced damage. Over 500 or 540 on the top end. You got attack speed, and it's kind of funny seeing those bone spears shoot out everywhere. Anything Reaper's Toll, Ethereal Reaper's Toll, you could throw on a Rib Cracker on here, a bunch of different rune words. The new Obedience could be a good option. You can put Obedience in spears now coming up. So there's just a ton of bazillion different types of budget options. Probably an Ethereal Obedience would be a really, really wicked budget option to put in here. But this is what I got right now. Just threw on a bone hue, and I'll show you. You can see how it works even with this weapon. We got up here Jalal's. You can obviously put on a G-Face to get more crushing blow and stuff like that. But Jalal's, real cheap, real good to throw on up there. High Lords is a go-to for any melee character because all that deadly strike, skills, increased attack speed. This is the one item that's not budget. Fortitude is not particularly hard. It's one high rune. So at some point in your ladder journey, you should be able to get your hands on one high rune worth of value in order to get this if you wanted to try this build out. We come down, we got Gore Riders down here. Very good choice to get the deadly strike. Could go with Goblin Toes, I guess, if you want crushing blow, but Gore Riders is what I'd go with on this particular type of build. And on the rings here, I got a Raven Frost, and over here, unfortunately, in the PTR, they don't provide you with any Mana Leech rings, so I don't have any. I would prefer this to be a Mana Leech ring, but I threw this on as the next best option. This character actually doesn't have any Mana Leech. It's disappointing, so I got to chug Mana Potions a lot, but preferably you'd want a good dual Leech ring here with resistance and, you know, life and Mana Leech, obviously, and some other stuff. Here we got string of beers. A good string of beers is probably the best option here, as opposed to a lot of other things like Dungo, but those are that's another good option there. Laying of hands, super cheap, very good for any melee character. Let's jump over to talk about the mercenary we got here. Now for the mercenary here, I went with Act 2, and I went with the might version to give you even more damage. Seems a pretty obvious choice, kinda sorta. If you wanted to have more safety, I guess you could go cold, but I would say might. You should be fine with this build with the might or Act 2 mercenary. Then I got a Reaper's Toll over here to help me deal with the immunities. There's a bunch of different things you could do. You could even use a Reaper's Toll is a kind of a good option on your character, to be honest. But I went ahead and threw this on the Act 2 mercenary to deal with the physical immunes when you do come across a few of those. We got another Fortitude here. You could go with the Treachery right here. Would not be a problem. And just the budget up here, Talrash's Mask for the Life Leech and the Resistance. Let's go ahead and I'll go ahead and spam up and get everything going here, and you'll see exactly what you're doing here. So we'll start off. I actually spam all of these summons because why not? You can now. So go ahead and spam up all these summons right here. Boom. So you got your little herd. We're going to head out to a good place to test out real quick is just run out to Eldritch right here. So run out, you can battle order them up. You end up with that much health, but once you come to Werebear form, you end up with almost 3,600 even with this budget gear. Switch over to Maul and right click, and you can just go ahead and sit back. You don't have to click. You can do this blindfolded if you wanted to. Not a problem. And you see, once you get the charges or whatever, he attacks quicker. You see, it's really just that quick, and this is just players want Eldritch and Shank. I know you got to throw out the caveat, or I'll get to all the comments. Feel free to leave the comments below, helps out the interaction, but this does absolutely slap that. Let's go ahead and hit to the River of Flames, get into the Chaos Sanctuary, and we'll see how it does there. Another good place to test this type of stuff out. Alrighty, now we're moving into the Chaos Sanctuary, another great place to test this stuff out. And if I did forget to mention it before, I did use battle orders from my CTA. When you get poisoned on this character, I will admit it does cause you a minor bit of problem here because the poison resistance is incredibly low. But if you had better gear, a little bit better gear instead of a budget stuff like I'm rocking right here, you'd be perfectly fine. And you see a lot of these monsters, you can one hit, two hit them. Right there, these Stormcasters go down in just one hit. Doom Knights take two apparently, but it does not have the speed, of course, of the new Fist of Hammerdin's Paladin, or of an old school Hammerdin, or even a Javazon. But this is more of a fun build to play, and remember, this is budget gear right here. You got to remember what I'm using. I'm using a Bone Hue on this character right now. Considering the gear that you're wearing, the new boost that this got from the new patch, I would say this works pretty reasonably well. So there we are with the new Bear Maul Druid, and you can even bring up the entire zoo of animals here, so it's fun to take advantage of that as well for the extra safety. So it is not the end-all be-all best clear speed in the entire game, but if you want to try something new in the new patch, maybe you can go ahead and do this. You can see exactly here how it works with some pretty darn budget gear. So if you liked the video, like button, subscribe up, peace out, and don't forget, keep slaying.